I can do it on my MacBook.
Okay. So three
No, that's
minutes
okay.
and then 5 minutes for questions. Okay.
There we
Thanks,
go.
Ruth.
Okay, no worries. I'm a teacher. I'm used to time limits. My name is Good evening, everyone. My name is Ruth Luovanos. I am a teacher. I am a mom. I'm a progressive. I'm a former Simi Valley City Council member running for supervisor in Ventura County District 4. And District 4 includes Simi Valley, Moore Park, Chatsworth Peak, Bell Canyon, Box Canyon, Sinaloa Lake, Tierra Rejada Valley, and all the incorporated areas around Simi Valley and Moore Park. So I am running for three reasons. Number one, I'm running against a MAGA Republican. It is just me and her. So this race will be decided on June 2nd. So it's not a primary and then we go on. It's June 2nd, boots on the ground. That's when this will be decided. So this is a really, really important race. Um, I am a progressive, have been a member of San Fernando Feel the Burn for as long as I knew that they existed. I'm so excited. My father-in-law, who has a lot before he died, the last person he voted for was Bernie Sanders. So, and he was a Republican for a long time, and he voted for Bernie. So that to me just speaks to the power, right, of Senator Sanders. But everything that you said, Kay said, I was like, yes, 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 yes. Everything that Feel the Burn stands for, that's what I'm fighting for. We have my opponent has taken big oil money, raised the limits on corporate PAC funding, put an oil well next to an elementary school, has reduced healthcare, trying to privatize senior care services.
Uh-oh. She got cut.
Oh, she froze. I paused the time, so
Okay.
she's at minute and 15. Oh, okay, there we go.
Okay, there
Okay,
we go.
can you hear me now? Yes?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you just
I'm
fine.
sorry. Yeah,
You're
so
good.
I'm part of that three generation household. I have my 80-year-old mother in law who lives with us, my son who just graduated from college. So I am living the struggle. I'm a teacher, I'm a union leader. I'm about to go on strike in 2 weeks. If you haven't heard, UTLA is about to go on strike on April 14th because we're just asking for the same thing everybody else wants: livable wages, healthcare benefits, safe schools, right? Without mold, without rats, without cockroaches, just very basic things that we're asking for as teachers. So those are the things I'm fighting for as supervisor. Again, youth services, senior services, the full cleanup of the Santa Susana Field Lab. In case you didn't know, that was a nuclear meltdown that happened over 50 years ago that we still haven't cleaned up. I'm a cancer survivor. I want to make sure we don't privatize our Gold Coast healthcare services in Ventura County. I am completely in favor of single payer. I understand the reasons why we all need healthcare as a human right. And I want to make sure we have affordable housing. I want to make sure we support our youth and want to make sure that we have clean air and clean water. So those are all the reasons that I'm running. I don't take corporate money. I don't take big PAC money. I don't take big oil money. That's why I'm here asking for this endorsement. It is a grassroots campaign and it is a winnable seat. My last election, I got over 23,000 votes. I only need 27,000 to win this election. So it is a winnable seat. And when I win, then I can help down ballot progressive candidates get into office because we only rise together if we lift everybody up. And that's why I'm running for supervisor. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ruth. And just so you know, I got those books you recommended. Amazing. That's all I have to say. Um,
Yes.
does anyone have any questions? Paul?
Yes. What is your concept on affordable housing? How much is now here? Just to preface this, in Santa Monica, I asked, they were trying to sign a petition with the area they're going to build in where the airport they're converting into a park, and they wanted to have some of it to build buildings. Okay. And they told me it'd be 30% of the median income. So I did the math, and that would be for apartments, say a one bedroom, $2,434. And that to me is not affordable. So how do you figure it? What would be for a one bedroom? What would be the exact dollar figure that you're talking about?
I don't think it's fair to take the median income of Santa Monica to determine what is affordable and
Okay,
what is
what's the
not
median
affordable.
income of your
Yeah.
district?
So the median income is 130,000. Um, we have our rent is cheaper, our housing is cheaper in Simi Valley, which is
What
where I
are you
currently
talking
reside.
about? What percentage of the median income?
So the percentage of the median income, 130, it's like 2,200 for one bedroom.
2,200.
Um, so it's less. But affordable housing means diverse housing too, because we have housing. So we have a lot of seniors that are living in big homes, 4 to 5 bedroom homes. But their kids moved away, but there's nothing smaller for them to move into. So we don't have any duplexes or triplexes or quads. We don't have any. They're not building a lot of new apartments on the valley floor. They're not. So it's condos, townhomes. It's not just building mega mansions because that's what they're doing. They're just building mega mansions everywhere because they don't want renters. And so you have to have that diverse housing. And for every job that you bring in, whether you're bringing those industrial jobs, right? Those, not that I like the Amazon warehouses, but we are bringing in industrial jobs. You have to have housing that is the median income of those workers, right? That are making $25 an hour. That it should be 30% of their income. That's what it should
Right.
be. That's what
So is that what you're fighting
affordable
for?
housing is.
You're fighting
Yes,
for that, right?
absolutely.
And thank you for making
Absolutely.
it clear.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan. Does anyone else have anything? Chris, my brother, remember what we were talking about yesterday? I believe it was yesterday. About where you were telling me about how it's affordable. It doesn't matter if houses are rented or places are rented. About the applications.
Oh, yeah. You can
Can you mention this?
there's an application fee that's like $50 every time you want to apply to a unit. So supposedly people apartment owners can sit on a unit, have people come for a month, could get up to maybe 20 applicants and they would, just from the fees alone, you would make like $1,000 if you had 20 people apply per month
Wow.
on a $50 fee. And if they just collected that amount, they sat on the unit, they wouldn't have to worry about upkeep. The unit and the property prices, property value keeps rising. So they just sit on the unit, wait for the property value to rise, and then just continue to make money because they're able to sell the properties eventually for profit.
And that's why when I was on Simi Valley City Council, I proposed a vacancy tax. I was the first Democrat and the only progressive ever elected to Simi Valley City Council. And one of the things I asked for, right, but as the only Democrat, it didn't get passed. But I asked for a vacancy tax. I said it is not fair that small business owners are being priced out of the businesses that they have in the community because they keep raising the rent. It's not fair that we have vacant apartments, vacant homes, and they're doing things like exactly what you talked about, Chris, paying these application fees. And meanwhile, the taxpayers are not collecting any money, right, on that. But that they're collecting money, right? The landlords, the commercial landlords or the residential landlords are collecting money. So I propose a vacancy tax. If it's going to sit empty, then the city's going to collect money on that. It's the only fair thing to do for the taxpayers, for the community, because in the meantime, while it sits vacant and you're not collecting rent and not collecting taxes, then our roads aren't getting fixed, right? Our schools aren't being funded. Our healthcare is not being funded. So those are the things that everybody uses, but we're not paying for because you won't hold them accountable. And I demanded accountability every step of the way while I was in city council. And you can Google me, look me up. You'll find out all the good trouble I got into while I was on city council. And I'm very proud of that record. And that's what I'm going to do as supervisor. I'm going to demand accountability. I want to make sure that the money is tied to improving outcomes for our residents. That's what I do as a national board certified teacher. And now as a targeted student populations coordinator, I have to make sure that anything we write in the budget is going to directly improve student outcomes. You're not going to hire your friend. You're not going to hire your friend who's a consultant. No, no. The money is going to improve student outcomes. And I feel the same way. I did the same thing as a Simi Valley City Council member, and I will do the same thing as a supervisor. If we're going to spend money, then they're going to reflect our priorities, and it's going to improve outcomes for the community. Period. End of story.
Thanks so much, Ruth. Does anyone have anything else? Has been 5 minutes. I can ask a question. It's probably like the same thing I ask everybody. Given your support for single payer healthcare, what concrete actions will you take at the county level to move that vision forward? And how will you navigate and push back against the political and corporate forces that consistently block healthcare reform?
I think this was on my application.
I always
I'll
ask it.
answer
I
it
mean,
anyways. Oh yeah. Yeah, we have been under attack. Literally, they started putting in all these urgent health centers in Simi, and cutting back the hours for like Gold Coast clinics, right? El Camino Real clinics. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure we fully fund Gold Coast Health Clinic. Our Ventura County health plan needs to be fully funded. They already shut down the OBGYN unit, and they want to shut down the entire hospital in rural communities like Santa Paula, where they won't have any healthcare access. So I am actively fighting back against that. The first thing we're going to do is fund our healthcare. We want to keep our youth, we want to keep our workforce in Ventura County, then they have to have access to healthcare. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. And then I'm going to co-sponsor CUSP. I'm going to go up to the state legislators. I'm going to go to our Congress, whoever our congressional representatives are, and I'm going to say, as a supervisor, if you want people to stay in California, you want people to stay in the U.S., then you have to fund single-payer healthcare. That is the number one reason why teachers, and I can speak specifically to this, are even staying in the profession because of our healthcare. San Francisco Unified, San Diego Unified, they all went on strike for healthcare benefits. So we are losing our workforce because they don't have access to healthcare. If you bring single payer healthcare to California, we will bring back that talent, that workforce, that experience, because they're going to want to be here because they have access to healthcare. They're going to Europe. You know why? Because they have single payer healthcare. So we need that not only in California, but nationwide. I can tell you it's the only reason I've stayed in LAUSD for 26 years was access to healthcare. So me, by even running for this, if I win, I'm going to give up my lifetime benefits that I could possibly have, that I would earn in 2.5 years. I'm giving that up because that's how much my husband and I believe that we can flip this board and that we can make a difference in the community. I'm willing to sacrifice my lifetime healthcare benefits to be a supervisor that's going to serve the community. That's what I'm willing to put on the line.
Yay. Thanks so much, Ruth. Does anyone have any questions? I can't see any hands or anything. Kason, if you want to help me out. All right, thanks. And what we're going to do is we're going to send a video out to all the membership, this video, and then have them vote in a poll. And then we'll get back to you and let you know if you got the endorsement in like a couple weeks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone.
Don't forget to put your website in the chat and tell everybody how they can get involved with your campaign.
I would do that. Yes, please follow and like my social media. Thank you.
Thanks. And then now we have Encore.
Yes, hello.
Another long time Feel the Burn member.
Yes, I'm so glad to go after Ruth, comrade in I've actually even subbed for Ruth. Amazing teacher. Glad that she's running, and courageous to put her healthcare on the line for such an important position. I think that's what a lot of us have done. Put ourselves on the line, put our time, put our energy, put our hearts on the line. And so I'm glad to be with all of you today on this. And I mean, I heard it might take weeks, okay, but I love the to be on with all of you today.
Just a couple
Um,
weeks. I'll try to
we'll
do
hit
it.
the
We'll
fast
try to
forward
do
button
it
on that,
quick.
hopefully. Yeah.
You know how
But
we are.
uh, So I'm running for LAUSD School Board District 4. It's a huge district. I'll put a map in the chat shortly. But I'm running because I believe in strong public schools as a public good. And right now, our system is not living up to that promise, right? Public education should not be privatized or corporatized. Schools are not businesses, and students are not products, right? Not just numbers to make money off of. My supporters are not billionaires, the Waltons of Walmart, the Broad Foundation, oil and Enron executives, big tobacco, Reed Hastings of Netflix, the same people who supported Betsy DeVos and the Republicans in their efforts to privatize public education. Those people are supporting my opponent, right? I'm running against a billionaire-backed charter school privatizer, and he's been in office for 9 years. And they want to turn school employees, especially teachers, into peons, right? They don't want to give respect and credibility to the profession. They want to replace teachers with technology. They want to cut our healthcare benefits. They don't want us to have a voice in our workplace. So my supporters are teachers and parents and students, community members, groups like this. Um, and what's happening right now is we don't have public school champions. They're missing, especially on the Los Angeles School Board. Leaders who are willing to stand up for neighborhood schools and educators and families, even when it's not convenient. So we're here because we have values. We stick with our values. Sometimes those values take us outside of the Democratic Party. It means that we invest in public institutions, we respect educators and laborers, and we make decisions that put people before profit. So, like I know why this club went independent, but I also got to say, we were able to earn a no recommendation from the Los Angeles County Democratic Party. So historically, the CDP endorses bad incumbents like nobody's business, but we were able to block it, and with a vote of 109 to 55, 66% of people said this incumbent is a little fishy. Let's give the challenger at least an open chance. And we've been able to take that momentum and build and grow with it. And I'm running because decisions are made with these private interests in mind. Charter expansion, corporate logic are shaping public education. But I want public school board members who actually act like public school champions. So that's a brief background on why I'm running, trying to connect back to the Field the Burn Club. I look at all of you as comrades. Once we get the endorsements, maybe even before, we'll do a something like a weekend with Bernie. We'll start canvassing. We're already out there. Bring that energy back into this. And I'm in a heads up race against an incumbent. So on June 2nd, we can win, right? We got the plan to knock on thousands of doors. We've got the messaging that resonates. We're hoping to get the teachers union endorsement. That'll come closer to the strike that's going on. And again, my opponent is supporting bad negotiations. My opponent is not on the side of teachers. So it's very clear that this race could be one of those turning points. There's a lot of people looking at this. I'm happy and glad and looking forward to partner with other candidates like Ruth, but also Chris Ahuja, who has a lot of overlap in this district, other Field of Burn endorsed candidates, and really bring that synergy together. Because when we're at the doors talking to people, one of those things that people care about is education, and having the school board candidate who's on the side of public education of schools. I went through LAUSD, right? I went to UCLA. I taught 5 years as a substitute teacher in public schools. I learned what it's like to live the decisions of the board. I also worked for a board member. I also taught in South Korea and in China. I was Reverend James Lawson's graduate assistant. I see the time coming up, Case, and I hear that. So just everything about this race is um, it's a perfect storm for us to succeed. I just got Luis Javier Rodriguez's endorsement, always running game days in LA. So that's another powerful endorsement that we're going to use to talk to the community, leverage, and I'm happy to take questions because my time is up. But you know me, I could keep on going. We got a
Yeah.
huge platform on all these things, and I look forward to that healthcare question, Michelle.
Thanks, Encore. Does anybody have any questions? other than my question. It's not the same, but
I got a question. I'm an LUSD teacher in this district. Um, so I would like to know when when you get onto the school board, Anchor, because I know you will. When you get into the school board, what are you going to do to hold corrupt administrators accountable? We have now the superintendent, an LAUSD employee, and all of the virtual academies are under investigation for misuse of funds or laundering of funds or just stealing funds. So, what are you going to do to hold administrators accountable? Are you going to finally let us evaluate bad administrators again, as used to be the case in LAUSD once you become school board member?
Yeah, I love that idea of other folks evaluating administrators, not just the people at the top who are benefiting by putting these administrators in positions and then covering up for their corruption, right? What we have now is a corruption tree that trickles upward, right? And so this, what's happened with Superintendent Carvalho and this FBI raid on specifically the All Here contract, there was like 4 or 5 administrators in between Andres Chait who are skipped. You probably saw that, Ruth, or you probably noticed that Pedro Salcido and some of these other folks got skipped for being because why? They're in the cookie jar as well. So this is an opportunity for us to clean house, to reset, to reevaluate the top-heavy bureaucracy, what they're being paid, what they're supposed to do, and refocus those resources at the school site. And Ruth, I'd love your opinion and ideas on how to hold administrators accountable. But one of my things that I've just been talking about is do it in public. Let's have more public meetings where the parents and the teachers who are at school sites with these corrupt administrators can put it out there. You know, that public shaming, it feels good for us, but it makes a difference, right? People cannot be hiding it under the rug, sweeping it around, doing the dance of the principals, moving administrators from one place to the other because now those folks don't know that he was corrupt or she was corrupt over here. But that is exactly how they play that shell game. They move people around, and it's almost like a Catholic Church type of thing going on. It's so sad. It's so gross. Where we we need board members with political will. We need guts to not vote for the superintendent when he's so clearly not. I mean, I was so sad to see 7-0 vote for this superintendent in his second contract. It made no sense. But I think people are just comfortable with the status quo. They go along, they get along. Well, we're not about that. And so we're gonna raise the red flag when we see corruption. We're gonna have whistleblower protections. I don't know if you just saw this whole article about UTLA not even taking the side of whistleblowers. I'm a little suspicious about that because that's a conservative publication and maybe those whistleblowers are but we need to protect whistleblowers. We need to investigate. We need to support them and not again punish the people who are looking out for the best interests of our kids and our taxpayers.
You're
yeah.
making me want to cry right now, um, because I have too many friends, too many teachers that have been whistleblowers and that have been punished. I even have a friend who's they're trying to take her credential away for being a whistleblower. So the fact that you're running for office to defend teachers like me who are just trying to do our job, thank you, Amber. Thank you for running.
Thank you both so much for running too. I mean, personally, I would never run for office in a country that does not have campaign finance reform. Just I couldn't do it. Fundraising it's a nightmare. So thank you both so much. And I really think you both have a great shot. Um, and I'm so looking forward to see what happens in this. I really, really am. Encore, I was going to ask you the same thing. It was just going to be like the resources were definitely going to be health resources, right? Health related. But obviously, there's problems with all the freaking resources. So, yeah.
But on healthcare, on the resources that we spend, I've been digging deep on this from before this campaign, and this has really crystallized it, right? One of my big platform points is healthy students are successful students, right? And we can look at how many resources are coming into the schools. We had something like what, $363 million from the federal government for food, right? LAUSD added about $100 million, $470 million the district is paying for food, and that's prepackaged, processed, unhealthy food. So, that we are what we eat. We start right there and we go outwards, right? Healthy students are successful students, but mental health, this is such a huge epidemic. We need nurses full time because if you have a nurse full time at a school site, then they can be proactive with health. They can talk about how to improve the whole culture of the school. They can connect to community partners and bring in other resources. Um, then and so the big one is LAUSD has 80,000 employees, 30,000 teachers. We're paying, and the district does fuzzy math on this, something like $20,000 a year for healthcare benefits for employees, for teachers. $20,000 a year for a first year teacher. How much of that is going to the health insurance companies? Too much. We know that. So we're not leveraging the size of our district and the employees for better outcomes. And I think that's a big opportunity as a school district that employs so many folks. And we start talking about single payer healthcare and we join up with CUSP and we talk about it at the state level. We need to do something differently. These are all taxpayer dollars. It doesn't matter if it goes to the state and then gives to the county and then goes to the district and then pays for a teacher's healthcare benefit. These are still public taxpayer dollars, and we need to have a holistic, maybe single payer way of thinking about it, right? Of how do we cover healthcare for everyone? And employees is a big part of it, right? Every cycle they're trying to cut retiree benefits or dependent benefits. They're trying to attack our healthcare benefits every cycle. So healthy students are successful students, but also healthy employees are good for the district. And there's ways, again, to be proactive about it. Instead of pills and surgeries, we know integrative health, preventative health. I'm big on Ayurveda now. This is an ancient Indian healthcare system, but there's so many different ways that we can bring in holistic healthcare to improve healthcare outcomes and reduce costs. So it's not an either or. And we need creative people with political will who have connections with groups like this, with Healthy California, with all the ones that we agree with and the ones that we disagree with, so that we can push through a healthcare plan and a system that is good for all of us, right? Again, so much money is spent on healthcare and across public education. It's something like 20-25% of expenses go to healthcare, right? Especially at the university level, at the CSU level, at the community college level. And I just mentioned the specifics of LAUSD, but this is something where we need to be creative. We need to take an integrative approach. And again, I don't think any other candidate for school board, at least, is talking about things like this. And yeah, I thank you for that question. I've been working and developing this. I want to have a series of conversations across the district at YMCA's, at Boys and Girls Clubs, at libraries, at
Oh,
healthcare
hey, we need
centers,
to
at
talk
clinics, where we
because
can
that's
talk
what we're
about a
doing at
particular
CUSP.
issue.
That's what we're doing at CUSP, but we're going in and we have a long-term strategy to base build, and it is getting into organizations like that and actually teaching them how our healthcare system is run and how to fight for it. Because right now, people are not fighting for something that they have no idea how it works. And it's very difficult to fight for something that you have no idea how it works. So thank you so much, both of you. And we'll
If
get
I can
back to you
just
in a couple
give a
weeks.
shout out to Paul, thank you for helping me collect signatures and qualify for the ballot. That was
Thanks,
great.
Paul.
Just getting on the ballot is a challenge, and we all know that. So,
Hmm.
and then I'm also going to have a music and arts in public schools fundraiser on April 11th at the Valley Music Workshop. It's our friend Miles Lewis who is hosting that. I'll put it in the chat. And I look
Okay.
forward to Weekend with Bernie, right? Weekend with
That would be
Burners,
cool.
getting
Yeah.
into it and knocking on doors and synergizing with all of the endorsed candidates where we overlap and taking this message to more people.
Yeah. Sounds good. Thanks so much.
Wait, what about has Alex asked his question yet?
Oh, I didn't know someone had another question.
No,
Sorry.
Yeah, Alex.
just a brief question, because in all education, in the local level, what we're dealing with is Trump and the federal government withdrawing massive amounts of funds to support education. And so, my question is, we have to be innovative and strategic. What ideas do you have? And I know certainly healthcare, things we're talking about there, promise to afford savings, but there's so much else also. What can be done to kind of buffer against what the federal government's doing in funds for education?
Yeah, so some of the major funds for education from the federal level, a little bit from Title One, Title Three, Title Nine, the food free and reduced lunch meal program, right? So there's a couple specific streams coming from the federal government that go to the state and then are allocated to individual districts. We got to work at the state level, right? Those funds at the federal level, we need to protect those. We need Congress people who are going to make sure those stay there. Um, that's a whole conversation in itself. At the state level, when those funds get there and how they're allocated to districts, one of the things that I've been looking at is instead of ADA, average daily attendance, right, enrollment-based funding, right? This is one where especially districts like LAUSD, when the kids aren't getting to school, we're losing funds, and we need those funds to get the kids to school and help them. So it's like a little bit of a circular logic on average daily attendance versus enrollment. And what happens with the average daily attendance versus enrollment is you have all the bad actors, the charter schools, whatever it is, they push their kids out at opportune timing into public school. So now they get the funding, we don't, and we have to give services. Of course, we want to, we will provide services for the kids, but if we're not being paid for it, it makes the budget that much more difficult to manage. A regional adjustments, it's more expensive in Los Angeles than in Bakersfield. There's no regional adjustment for the way that the state allocates funds to public school districts. This is a big one. And the third one on this point, deduplicated funding. Right now we get extra funds based on your district's count of English language learners, kids in poverty, and foster youth. Three separate categories, right? You get extra funds. So LAUC actually gets more dollars from the state per student than Beverly Hills. But when you have a foster youth who's is an English language learner and in poverty, we're still only getting one times. It should be deduplicated. That takes more resources to make sure that kid who's under all three of those categories to provide them the services and the help and the resources they need. So we know out of Prop 98, 40% of California's state budget goes to K through 14 education. It has to. It doesn't matter what the state's budget is. It doesn't matter what the enrollment is. 40% of the budget goes to K through 12 education. So enrollment, even though it's declining across the board, still means that the per capita amount of funding we're getting per student is pretty high actually. But again, where is that money going? How is it being spent? What fuzzy math are they doing? Are they giving it to teachers? Are they giving it to health insurance companies or tech bro billionaires for more iPads that don't even have the apps that the kids and the screen time is the whole thing. We know the screen time is bad for cognitive development, addiction, anxiety, attention issues. We need hands-on experiential learning, more field trips, things that connect the kids to the community that give them relevance and meaning. And the Epstein class, they're in the middle of this still. There's people who have donated to my opponent that are in the Epstein files, right? There's a whole class of folks who see public schools as a profit as opposed to as a public mission. And so I Ruth, I love your energy and I appreciate you saying thank you for running. I feel it. I feel good about being in this race because if I wasn't, nobody would be here challenging our billionaire-backed opponent in this race for School Board District 4. So happy to, eventually get the club's endorsement and take it forward and be in the community talking about these issues
Yeah,
that I know everyone
definitely.
cares about.
Yay, thanks, Encore. And Ray just joined us. Hold on. Ray's running for mayor. Hey, Ray. Are you ready to talk or do you want me to come back to you? Okay, maybe she's not ready yet. I'm going to go
Michelle,
ahead and
looks like
wait.
Stephanie had a question.
Oh, she did?
She had her hand raised.
Uh-oh. God, I can't see anybody's hand.
Yeah, Stephanie had a question too. My bad.
Yeah, it was for Encore. I mean, I don't know. I know he did bring up, trade schools, which I think are very important to bring back into our schools. And then also, I was thinking about language acquisition. It should really start at a younger age. And then also, like you said, also classroom time isn't the only place to learn. You can learn outside of schools, which is, museums, uh, all kinds of pottery classes, whatever, learning things outside the classroom, because I feel like that kind of helps motivate students. Like changing the way we teach, I think matters too.
Yeah, you said it. Vocational training, career pathways, technical education, dual language immersion programs. There's only 7 languages right now. We should have like 20. This is Los Angeles. I'm specifically looking at Tagalog, Farsi. As an Indian, I want an Indic language, but there's so many different languages depending on the community and the part of the city. We can introduce new programs that connect kids again to relevance and meeting their own culture, but give them an appreciation for learning that carries forward, gives them those career paths, and connects them. One big thing is we got too much social promotion going on. This is a tricky, difficult issue when kids are reading 3, 4 grade levels behind, especially at high school level. We're not solving that problem without a big reset and something big. And holding kids back at high school or middle school is really difficult. But I think I was talking to former school board member Julie Kornstein. She was the one of the board members when 6th grade got moved from elementary school to middle school. And the reason why they did it was because of overcrowding, was because of capacity and facilities. It had nothing to do with academics or child development or how kids learn. It was a bottom line question. And so moving 6th graders back to elementary school is one part, an idea that can go on depending on school site. But how can we catch kids up to grade level? Where can we do it? How can we do it? We have to hold kids back, and 5th grade to 6th grade, I think, is the perfect time frame to do it. Where after that level, kids have a little bit more maturity, a little bit understanding, and you can get them on those pathways a little bit more clearly, right? They have a little bit better idea. Are they artistic? Are they science? Are they math? Are they like in this thing or the other? And having that opportunity with more field trips and again, hands-on learning, give them the let them see themselves doing something and give them those choices. So that social promotion, 5th grade to 6th grade, I think this is one of those big policy ideas that is gaining
Coming.
traction the more I talk about it. And it makes sense, especially if you're at an elementary school and
Uh,
you're worried about what middle school you're going to send your kid to, and there's extra space already at the elementary school. There's all these questions about Prop 39 and co-location of charter schools taking over public schools and lower enrollment. So this is kind of feed 3 birds with one hand type of an opportunity, address a big concern, address facilities issues, enrollment, development, all at the same time. So that's a pretty big idea with a bunch of educators. I just wanted to put that out there and um, plant that seed, and we'll talk about it more, I hope, going forward.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. We're going to give you like a few minutes to tell us why you're running and about your seat, and then we'll give 5 minutes of Q&A.
Okay,
And
thank
so
you.
you go ahead and start. And just so you know, we're recording this, so
Okay, got it. Um, well, thank you so much for this speech. I'm so happy to be with you all. It's actually a really big honor to be considered for endorsement just because I really value the particular voice and perspective you all have in really shaping the Democratic Party in a way that I think we need to be able to move forward into the actual future of not just our country, but also our city. But so I just really appreciate it. Well, a little bit about me. I am a community organizer. I've been doing social justice work and organizing for over 20 years now. I've been a community organizer here specifically in Los Angeles for over a decade, primarily focused on economic justice, immigration, um, on climate justice, on public safety, and then really focused on housing and homelessness over the last 6, actually 8 years now. this culmination of me running for office is because I have been working on the ground with communities for so many years on real solutions that have come from our communities, and we have not seen the political will to actually carry them through. Everything on my platform is driven by the community. It's either things that we already are driving forward, such as a public bank, such as participatory budgeting, such as fast and free buses, such as social housing. But we have not been able to get it through the finish line because we just don't have strong, courageous moral leaders right now in this moment. And so I'm running not to reform the same old system because currently the system that we have is not working for us. I have a colleague who likes to say that it's not that the system's not working, it's that the system is working exactly as it was designed to work. The problem is the system itself is not working for us and for the working people. And so that's why my platform is really focused on systemic change, where it really puts people over profits, just like you were talking in CalCare. Um, by the way, I highly recommend getting even more involved with Housing Now, my day job that I'm taking a current break from, because we talk about housing for people, not for profit. And so there is a common message here that we are declaring and making very strongly stated that we need to be ensuring that everything that we do is about the working people, not about the billionaires, for the working people, not about the landlords and the corporate landlords and the Wall Street, right? Not about greed. We need to ensure that this actually serves the working people. And so that is why I'm running today. And I'm also, by the way, also a mother of two, and I am also a pastor. And I've uh, been doing that. Well, I've been a mom for 13 years now and a pastor for about seven, no, maybe 9 years. I actually haven't counted. I should do that.
Thanks so much, Ray. Does anybody have any questions? I think Stephanie, your hand's raised. Is it? Oh, Kason, you have a question?
Yeah, I have two questions. They're kind of like Zoran Mamdani based questions. Mamdani was able to move quickly on universal childcare and propose major revenue shifts like a millionaire tax within days of taking office, not just as ideas, but as actionable plans. What specific policies are you prepared to implement in your first 30 to 60 days? And what groundwork are you laying right now to make sure those moves are actually achievable once elected?
Yeah. Um, I'm going to answer your second one first, and then I'm going to go to the first one because I think it's
Okay.
actually extraordinarily important that to describe to you what's the way that this campaign is designed to be. For me, this is not about us winning in November. This is us about building. We aimed at win in November. Don't get me wrong. But this
Mhm.
is about the long-term development and growth of our base, so that way we can actually have power that lasts beyond the first 100 days in office, which is oftentimes how people run their campaigns. So we actually have over 1,000, very well over 1,000 now active volunteers. We've set up neighborhood captains in all 99 neighborhoods, and we are building a strong base so that way when we take office, it is about actually continuing the progress that have people activated in actual co-governance, because that's what democracy is, when we actually create space for people to participate. And participatory budgeting is a way to actually be able to create that space where people can be much more active in describing and laying out the actual priorities that they have. Now, to answer your first question, what am I planning on doing in my first 30, 60 days? I will be firing Chief McDonald. He has not been, and we've been seeing in the news, especially over just yesterday. I just spoke with one victim of LAPD where she was sexually assaulted and having to take illicit pictures of her while she was being um, detained. And I'm sorry, I'm just like breathing in this story still because it's still so fresh in my memory because I just had this just over an hour ago where she was, if she acted in a particular way, they would release her. And they did, right? So this is the kind of trauma that our LAPD is doing to us right now. So we need to hold LAPD accountable. The second thing I will do is I will be replacing people, I will be placing people on the Metro board that actually will be working with me towards making our buses fast and free. And I will be putting people onto the police commission who also agree with me in terms of ensuring that when crisis occurs, that they are being met with unarmed crisis response and that we're expanding that program, as well as ensuring that there's further accountability on our police right now in the kind of assault that they are putting onto our communities. They are supposed to serve and protect, and they're not doing their job. The other ways, let me just think for a moment here. I will be creating um, a housing for all office to be able to begin to correlate and coordinate all of the housing work that includes strengthening and enforcing our tenant protections. That means includes our homelessness services and working with the county departments and with La Casa to be able to build affordable housing and ensure that we're expanding our services and we're able to create a dashboard so that way folks have more transparency and can watch the progress of our work. I'll also be reviewing all commissioners and department general managers and getting rid of anybody who is there because of political connections and making sure that we are putting people in there to do the job.
Okay, and that's a amazing, fantastic answer. And my second question is another Mamdani based question that's currently that currently happened throughout his campaign, and this is like I feel like this is one of the biggest reasons why he had such high leverage in throughout his campaign. So he built a massive highly engaged following by consistently speaking directly to the people about their material conditions and then translating that energy into political leverage. How are you using your social media not just to grow an audience, but to build real organizing power that can help you pass bold policies once you're in office?
I'm proud to say I am doing that already. You
Mm.
might have seen that the K Line North was passed through, the plan was passed through the Metro Board. Previously, Karen Bass had stated that she was going to delay it by suggesting an alternative plan that would have had to take a different route, and it would have cost more money to take a different route. She decided to offer this because of the NIMBY pressures that she was getting from that very wealthy neighborhood that it was supposed to go through. Um, I had supported the organizing of a protest, and we had a lot of people show up to state very clearly it was not my testimonies. It was actually, I invited the folks who showed up to tell their story directly to media, in which case they did. And I'm proud to say 2 days later, unanimously, the Metro Board passed and the original plan and did not take Karen Bass's recommendation. This is just one, by the way, of many examples where we have organized people to be able to participate already. We haven't even won yet, but charter reform, the pressures on LAPD accountability has also moved forward. I'm proud to say that we participated in also shaping that through social media. For us, social media is a form of engagement. It's a form of organizing power. Every single person who reaches out through us through social media, we invite them to participate in our, like I said, over 1,000 volunteer base, not to just join our email list serve, not to just join our text whatever list serve. I don't know if it's called a list serve, but to actually participate. Our platform was created by our volunteers. We already had specific ideas that we wanted to suggest, but it was in collaboration with volunteers who signed up and said, I want to work on the policy and platform. By the way, these are individuals who are current staff members of City Hall, of city departments, of even the mayor's office. These are individuals who are also do policy on a federal level, who were so activated and want to support because they're so frustrated with what they're experiencing right now. And it is in this work collectively that we are building power. And again, it's because I believe in lasting power, not just a short term to get to November. For us, that's not going to last for us. We can't keep losing more and more.
Thanks, Ray.